All right, what's up, boys? It's KOSDFF here, and today we're going to be doing another story time video. Now, last night, when I was thinking about what I could possibly talk about, I realized that although I've mentioned that I've worked at pizza delivery places like all throughout high school, college, law school, and even for a little bit after law school, while studying for the bar and stuff like that, I've never told you guys any stories that manifested themselves while working at these places, and largely because I never really wanted to rule out the possibility of working with them. As you guys know, as YouTubers and streamers, we work with these kinds of places quite often. But then it dawned on me that one, these stories take place like literally 15 years ago. And two, they have nothing to do with the food. It's pretty hard to screw up pizza, even though I'm about to tell you a story about some of the biggest idiots you've ever heard of. It's just not too difficult to make a pizza. So this story is of the first pizza delivery job I ever got. So this is like right after I got my license, like right at like 17, 18. I ended up getting fired from this place, and rightfully so. This isn't one of the stories like, oh, they wrongfully fired me, wrongfully terminated me. No, I 100% earned it. But before we get into that, I wanted to tell you guys about, just the crazy place that was this Pizza Hut. Now, I worked at what I would consider basically like a druggy Pizza Hut. Like, I don't know if they're still like that. Let me know if anybody delivers pizza or works at a delivery place. Pretty much everyone, what? Oh, I do not know this map at all. I thought that was the back of the map. Pretty much everybody that worked there was just giant potheads. Most of them sold pot. A lot of them were all pill junkies and stuff like that. It's just the kind of work that, I guess people are attracted to, that have those kinds of lifestyles, because you don't really have to work there very long. It's only like 2 or 3 hours. Damn it. It's only like 2 or 3 hours a night, and you make like 100, 150 bucks. All you do is drive around, which is good for drug dealers because they would go sell pot and stuff like that when they were out, out delivering pizza. Except for this one guy who was actually the biggest one that worked there. Oh shit. But he like lost his license or something like that. So he ended up working inside the store. And how he would do is he would sell through the drive-through delivery, and it became this like joke in our town that if you wanted to buy pot from him, you get free breadsticks, because you go through like the Pizza Hut drive-through, and he wouldn't charge you for the breadsticks, and you would just say, hey, you tell him what you wanted, and you go around to the drive-through window, and he would just hand you the pot in like the breadstick box. And even the manager there was like a pillhead. He didn't smoke pot, but he used to buy pills off one of the delivery drivers there. It was just a crazy Pizza Hut. And some funny ass stuff happened there. One, I got in a car wreck within like, I think the second day of working there. Believe it or not, it wasn't my fault. I don't remember if it got ruled. Oh, Jesus. I don't know if it got ruled my fault eventually, because I think the person I hit had the same insurance carrier as me. But they pulled out in front of me, and I ended up like T-boning them. But we were only going like 10 or 15, not even, like 5 or 10 miles. It was like right before a light, and she thought she could dip out across 3 lanes of traffic, and it ended up hitting her. And I remember her getting really mad at me because as soon as we got hit, instead of asking her if she was all right, I got out of the car, and because I was panicking because it was my first day, I called the Pizza Hut. I was like, yo, I just got in a car wreck. You might need to let the people know that their pizza's going to be late, or to send another driver or something. And she got really pissed at that. She goes, we just got in a car wreck, and all you care about is a freaking pizza. And I was like, 17, not knowing what was going on. And she hit me. So I was like, what? Why are you mad at me? But really, when it started to go downhill, I think it was around like the second week I was working there. And one of the delivery drivers' purse got snatched. So she was like, a little elderly. I don't want to say elderly. That sounds so fucked up. I was 16 at the time, 17, somewhere around there. But she was like 45, so I guess that counts as elderly when you're that young. Not so funny now that I'm telling this story in my 30s. But she came in and put her purse down, like I believe on like the front counter. And this is, I believe, like right as the restaurant just opened, and her purse went missing. And she made a huge deal of this. We actually everybody, the delivery driver there, including myself, ended up getting contacted by the police. They called us into the police station. We answered a whole bunch of questions, and eventually they tried to trick us into taking a polygraph test. Now, the only reason why I say it like that was because 2 of the delivery drivers they had called in right before me had text messaged me saying how scary and crazy it was, that they were all nice, and as soon as they slapped that polygraph test on, they started just assuming it was you that stole it, even though, like, the cops had come right when the person went missing and searched everyone's cars and stuff like that, and they didn't find it. Then eventually, when I got called in there and they asked me if I wanted to take a polygraph test, I did like the OG gangster thing. I was like, hell no. No way I'm taking that. Yeah. I believe she ended up quitting, and this is really what kind of started this free-for-all of people quitting at this Pizza Hut. So I worked there, I believe, like really only a total of like 4 or 5 weeks, and this was right at the end of summer. So much so that when all these people were quitting, they couldn't find delivery drivers. I keep thinking people are gonna be over here camping. They couldn't find delivery drivers to replace these guys. Back then, on an average night, like a Friday or Saturday night, or even like a Wednesday night, they would normally have around 15 pizza delivery drivers working, and they'd only get called in for those few hours, hit markers, around the rush time. And that's why I said you can only work there for 2 or 3 hours and earn a decent amount of money, because you really only worked there when it was busy. So there was no like slow times. Really, bro? You're starting to piss me off. But eventually, I think because a lot of these guys that were delivering pizza who were aspiring drug dealers, I wasn't kind of kidding about that. They were all like selling pot. Like the whole time, whenever we'd be in the restaurant waiting for our new delivery, that's all they'd ever talk about. It's the only reason why I knew about it, is we'd all just be standing there, folding boxes, waiting for them to call in new deliveries. They would just sit there talking about how much weight they're moving. Sometimes they would, share customers. Like, it was immediately apparent, like, as soon as I got there, that this is the kind of Pizza Hut I was working at. It was a druggy Pizza Hut. There's nothing but criminals and drug dealers and stuff like that worked there. And rightfully so. It was just a bunch of high school workers working for $2 an hour. You should be ashamed, sir. But it got down to the point where it, like, right when this I say it started going downhill earlier. It really started going downhill when we got down to about 5 drivers. And the reason why that started pissing everybody off is normally when you would work there for 2 or 3 hours, you'd go on like, I don't know, like 10, maybe 15 deliveries, and overall you end up earning like $100. But when you only have 5 delivery drivers, all your pizzas are late. Your delivery times go from like 20 to 30 minutes up to like 45 minutes to an hour. Your pizza shows up cold, and then they call and complain, and they usually have to deliver them a second pizza that's, supposed to be warmer. And then they don't tip you at all for the second time. So it got to the point where none of us delivery drivers were making anything. And they tried to get new drivers. So, I don't want to pin everything on this manager guy that was, obviously just high off pills the whole time. He tried as hard as he could to get other drivers. He would get drivers from other stores. He would get drivers from other places. Like, friends of his would come in that weren't even working there and deliver for a little bit, and he would just pay them under the table. Anything to make it where we weren't just getting shit on by the customers for how the pizza's always being so late. Just robbed. But yeah, it got to the point where we would leave the store with like 6 or 7 pizzas and wouldn't come back for like 2 hours. And of course, these people that were selling drugs, delivering pizza as well, they obviously started selling more and more to make, up for the pizzas I guess they weren't delivering. Eventually, everyone quit besides me, slowly. So like, we went down to 4 drivers, then we went down to 2, and it was just me and this other dude. And we would show up for work. They would pile like 10 pizzas into our cars. And then we wouldn't make it back to the restaurant for literally like 2 or 3 hours, and we wouldn't make a dime. Everyone would just bitch us out. And this was killing us in gas money too. So like, if you didn't know, when they pay for your gas, they didn't give you much for gas. They'd give you like $1 per delivery. And this is right around when, gas prices skyrocketed in like 2004, 2005. So gas was like $3 or $4 a gallon. So it was just a screwed up situation, which really explains why everybody just quit. And I kept working there because I was leaving for college in like 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't really care at all. But how did I get fired? So believe it or not, me and the manager that was working there, who also wasn't earning anything because the store was like losing money basically, because every single time one of these people would call and complain, they'd get like 50% off, and they'd get another pizza delivered to them, and they're still paying the drivers. They still have all the overhead, all the ingredients is the same. So they just started losing money hand over fist. So the manager, who shall remain nameless, devised this plan. Basically, someone would call in for a pizza. He would explain that the delivery times would be like an hour, hour and a half, and ask them if they still wanted the pizza. And if they did and they got their pizza and didn't call or complain, no big deal. But if they called and complained at all, he was told by his like area manager to instantly give them a 50% off discount. So the manager devised this plan where he would actually go ahead and take their order, give me the delivery, I would go deliver the pizza. And if they hadn't called in and complained and paid the normal price, he would go ahead and give random people that we delivered to a 50% off code, and then we would bank the difference. But we'd have to wait to see if they would call and complain. So I would have to deliver the pizza, wait like 20 or 30 minutes. And if they never called and complained, and he would figure that's how long it would take them to eat the pizza, he would go ahead and put in like the 50% off code retroactively and then pay me in cash afterwards. And we did this for about a week. And, it got me up to about making like $150, $200 a night. It got me back to what I was normally making, like had we been hustling and bustling and we had plenty of drivers and the Pizza Hut was popping and we didn't get screwed for tips. Now, he was actually making a killing. So I believe only like 50% of his earnings depended on how the restaurant did that night, because he was a manager. He didn't go deliver pizza or anything like that. So he had like somewhat of a salary. He was making half this money. So this scam was pulling in like $300 or $400 a night. Now, of course, this scam only lasted a week because they do an accounting, I would think, like every single week. And I guess the general area manager started to realize that they were making significantly less money. Now, actually, I take that back. I think it worked for 2 weeks. Because the first week he was like, well, you told me to give off 50% off to anybody who called and complained. And they didn't keep logs of who called in. The computer system which we were working with, they managed all this stuff, was like a DOS system. Like, you know, the little green numbers and little blinking square. Like, it was that bad. This wasn't even running Windows 95. Who is this person? But of course, the second week rolled around and the area manager came in and was like noticing that the restaurant was, you know, earning significantly less money. Of course, the manager was like, well, you told me to do this. You know, we only have one delivery driver. I think by the second week they'd hired a second one. That pretty much everyone calls and complains. I got killed by the same guy. But they looked into it a lot more and started to realize that these guys were getting pizzas delivered and then an hour and a half later were given the 50% off code. And I think they put 2 and 2 together that many people wouldn't wait an hour and a half after eating to call in and complain to try and get their money back. And then plus, when they didn't get a second pizza delivered out to them after getting that 50% off code, it really stood out. Now, this manager that was devising this plan obviously hadn't thought of all this. Now, he, like I said, he was kind of a pillhead and kind of an idiot. But I ended up being his pawn in this scheme because I didn't realize that he was using my password to go in and change the delivery. So now this whole time I thought he was just running in there using his, you know, manager's code or whatever to give this stuff off, because whenever you took a delivery, when you were put it in, you had to put in your password in the computer terminal before you could enter in the person's deal. Now, I didn't realize that he was entering it all in his general manager's code, but when he was giving the 50% off code, he was only using my password, which I imagine really stood out. And they caught me off guard. They let me come into work. They didn't even call me and let me know I was fired. They called me into work, and the area manager was there. And I'd only ever met him like one time before, and he came in like, you know, 2 weeks ago to let us know that they were working on the issue to kind of like reassure us that it wouldn't be like this for forever. And there was still a month left of summer. Oh my God. Pausing commentary. We need to kill this camping asshole. Where is he? Gotcha. You, oh God, of course you had that on. Ugh. I remember this. Is this still a spot where you can hide? This is the OG camping spot on this map. This is where everyone used to camp. You just sit here and just aim, and they have no idea because you have this thing for cover. Anyways. So yeah, they called me in, they asked me about it, and I was like, I have no idea. I just deliver the pizzas. You know, I'm not even in the store all the time. I'm always running around. But no, they pinned me with, well, it's your code and it's being put on afterwards. You know, and I'm not a huge snitch because I wanted to just be like, well, it was really the manager telling me what to do. I didn't feel like there was any point in kind of telling him. And I never talked to this guy ever afterwards because he wasn't there. It was the only person there was this area manager. So I got ready for work, came in there, got fired, and then left. Sure enough, I moved to college and went and applied for another pizza job, just didn't put them down as a recommendation, and, you know, continued to work in the pizza delivery industry. But like I said, you know, earlier in the other video where, you know, I was kind of grew up in the suburbs, that like the street smarts I earned weren't, you know, from watching movies. You know, it's stuff you learn, and that people will kind of screw you over. But, you know, when it's in the context of your pizza delivery job when you're 17 and you only really wanted the job for a couple weeks, you just don't care. Now, obviously, I was a kid and was really caught off guard. So, like, I didn't admit to anything, but I also didn't, like, fight it because I knew what we were doing was wrong. And I was more is this guy going to still be here? I was more you know, morally rather than thinking of what was illegal or what wasn't. But had I thought about it, I could have pointed out that, you know, although these codes were entered in an hour and a half after the delivery was made and they were using my code, they could pretty much easily track that I was never in the store, that these codes for 50% off were being put into the computer while I was out on delivery. Because literally, as soon as I would show up, they'd shove 10 to 15 pizzas in my car. I would go spend an hour and a half, 2 hours delivering them. And, you know, I was on the phone with them. So by the time I pulled back into the store, they were ready and waiting to put 15 more pizzas into my car. So I was literally never in the store longer than like 30 seconds to use the restroom or something like that. Had I thought of that defense, you know, I could have said that, but it would have implicated the manager and it would have made this huge scheme. And I thought maybe if they just didn't know and fired me that I wouldn't get in any trouble. Now, this is a restaurant that had called the police over, you know, the lady's purse going missing, and I was really more afraid of that. But obviously, if anyone had done any hardcore investigating, they would have realized it was actually not me putting the 50% code into the computer, But nonetheless, I was banking half what I believed was half the cash. I bet if I, could time travel back then, I bet he wasn't paying me my fair 50%. But anything was better than the $2 I was earning, because believe me, no one tips their delivery driver after their pizza shows up like an hour late and cold. Because they would open it right in front of you and be like, no, the cheese is hard. And then I'd be like, damn it, that means I got to come back out here again, and it's going to be like another hour and a half, and they're not going to tip me again, and it's just going to be a shit show. But yeah, no, I hope you guys enjoyed this story of the worst Pizza Hut, the Pizza Hut of death, how your boy was about getting the bag even early on. But really, it just shows what an idiot I was and how I got used for this scam. Really, I was just this dumb pawn. But yeah, no, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys liked the video. Please do. Thank you guys so much for all the support you guys have been showing on all my Call of Duty videos recently. It's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm about to head back to go visit my grandmother in North Carolina this weekend. So I probably won't get another video out till Sunday. She's all alone there, and I worry about her. And I also want to go visit my sister. So remember to spend time with your family. So right after you've liked this video, turn notifications on and subscribe and all that stuff. Call your parents or go hang out with your parents. But yeah, no, hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys later.